What's going on, Ram Fam? Sorry for the lateness. Trying to still work out this live stream, of course. And I hope that you guys were able to watch Last Chance U. And those two episodes that I gave you was not quite the exact ones that I wanted you to watch, but I think it'll work. So tonight I'm going to talk to you about military spouses and spouses of coaches and some similarities that I saw. And so right now, my boy Viper from Roll Call Sports Podcast is about to join me. I'm going to let him in.
What's up?
What's
What's up?
going on, Viper?
Not much. It's been a crazy night, but I'm ready for this. I'm ready for this. My catfish was late tonight, so I'm a little delayed, but I'm here now. I made it.
I'm gonna make you do the sandwich though with the hot sauce.
Yeah. That's what my wife likes. That's what she likes. So that's what we got to do.
Yeah. But so for those of you, Viper is a personal friend of mine. I've known him since I was in high school. I'm not sure if we knew each other in middle school or not, but definitely when I was in high school. So he has played football for 6 years. 8 years he's been a coach. He's coached 4 years at the high school level and 4 years in college. 3 at Bethel as a defense line coach, and 1 year as a safeties coach at Butler County Community College. So as we talk sports and as the life of a coach, he knows what he's talking about. And those of you who might be new to my channel, you may or may not know that I was in the Air Force for 12 years, and this is my husband's 22nd year. So speaking as a military spouse who has moved around a lot, that would be my background. So, Viper, did you refresh yourself with Last Chance U? Not that you need to, but did you?
Yeah, I'm there. I'm on like episode 5, but they're all the same. I mean, they're not all the same because I think they're a little different, but I'm refreshed. I'm good. I'm almost caught up. I'm almost through it all.
Okay, well, I haven't checked out the new season at all yet.
Okay.
So the 2 episodes I had sent out, season 4, episode 2 and 6, which they did touch on Coach Martin's wife a little bit, but in my memory, I could have sworn there was like almost an entire episode dedicated to her, but I guess not.
Yeah.
So those 2 will do. They will do. So they talked about the fact of how she wanted to go to school. And she was pursuing school, and I guess she finally decided to go because they had been in Kansas, a place where she didn't want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, okay, I guess we're going to be here for a while or whatever, and I need to do some stuff for me that will make me happy and enjoy being here.
Right.
So, as the spouse, I find that for myself, see, there you go. It's hard to kind of do that one thing for yourself, particularly school, because you have to take care of the children while still trying to support your husband, who at any moment can be moved.
Yeah.
All happens with a coach as well. I did not know that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So it's it's an interesting, dynamic, and it's very similar to military, right? Because you can go through a season. Let's say you're going to come on. Typically, you're brought on in the winter, right? You're going to go through spring ball in the spring, and then you're going to go through summer workouts, and then when you hit the fall, you've got your season, right? So essentially, from January to December, I mean, you could be fired at any time if anything happens, right? Let's say you come in and you go through, winter workouts, spring, summer, you get to fall. Let's say there's a new athletic director. The new athletic director wants a new head coach because the guy that's there is not his guy. So he's gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna move out the athletic director, right? You got a new athletic director. Oh, I'm going to move out the head coach. So then if you're an assistant coach, you know that your head's already kind of on a chopping block unless you can really just win some people over and, get, guys want to stay, get you to stay. But it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. So I guess real quick, I will, since I did just finish those 2 episodes. Refresh, I'm trying to. My original scenery didn't work out so well.
Okay. This is my podcast scenery right here. See, you got like Tommy Lee in the background, and you got like Viper. See this. I'm ready. I'm in the studio. What's up?
Yeah. First, let me. Oh Lord, hold on. Nikki got something to say to you. Okay, off topic.
Oh gosh.
She said, "Let me introduce those food stamps to you when they was in the form of paper." Okay, on the coach, because I'm pretty sure you watched the video that I did when I talked specifically about Last Chance U and Coach Brown. But in this one, I was reminded, right, that Coach Brown, he opened up that meeting in a negative and prideful tone.
Right.
He came in there. He said, "Because I'm a coach, I'm a head coach. I ain't going to get fired," and stuff like that.
Right.
So then afterwards, he's expecting teamwork. He wants some teamwork after that in a fruitful meeting.
Right.
As a coach who was being in that room, like, how would you move forward from there?
Yeah. So, if I was an assistant, it all depends. If I was an assistant coach and I was in that room and that kind of took place, I kind of go back and I kind of talk to the guys individually. Right. So if I'm the D-line coach, I'm like, hey, you guys know how this guy is, he's upset, and you kind of soften the blow a little bit. And I think that's sort of the dynamic anyway, from a coaching standpoint. The head coach has always got to be the bad guy. Right. And then your assistant coaches, they're the good guys. You got to go back and pick everybody up. But just overall, Coach Brown, Jason Brown, I guess that's who we're talking about. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think he means well, and I think he's a good coach, and I think kids believe in him. And here's the other thing, and I think I mentioned this to you, but when we were messaging the other day, is I think that sometimes Last Chance U creates a narrative that may not be there, right? Because there's no way you get all those kids, and I'm talking about top level kids. I mean, he had top level players. There's no way you get all those kids to come play for you if they don't like you and respect you. Right. That's just been my experience. Now, there might be 1 or 2 that might come just because they know about the hype or whatever. But for the most part, you're not going to get kids to come play for you. So with that being said, the assistant coaches probably know that dynamic, know he's going to come down hard on the kids, and then kind of come back behind and say, coach, how Coach Brown is, man. We just took a loss. Hey, we got to strap it on. We got to focus this week. We got to have a great week of practice and prepare for next week. And
it seems like they be doing that, but I don't know. So, so back to the wives, right? So, oh man, it's just difficult. So the fact that so she's trying to go to school, but at the same time, watching particularly that coach, right? We both from Kansas, and you know how it is in Kansas. Then you got this head coach who's acting a fool, right?
Right.
She's watching her husband, and as she said, yes, they may have been losing games, but I'm watching him and I'm watching them. They're getting better and they're better and better. She's trying to support him,
right?
Be a supportive wife that obviously we know y'all need. But yet she's trying to do her. And so that balancing act is a bit difficult. So from the standpoint of a wife to a husband, how would we know like if our support is good enough and you all returning that same support?
Yeah, I think that takes a lot of communication. Back when me and my wife, when I was coaching and my wife now, we were together, it was difficult, right? I was really young. I knew I wanted to coach. That's what I was doing. I had made up in my mind that's what I was going to do. And nobody could tell me different. And I think that it was difficult because, a lot of the other stuff falls on, her. So the things outside of coaching fall on her. Right. So yeah, I don't know. I think it just takes a lot of communication. Like you just got to talk through that. You can't just be like, hey, I'm going to go, and I couldn't imagine being a college coach because at that time I was just a high school coach, but college it's an extra level of time. Right. And then when you get to the NFL, it's like, there's no time. Like during the season, like during the year, you probably have 3 or 4 weeks out of the year that you're off. Everything else you're doing, you're evaluating and all that other stuff. So I just think that, with all that extra time, there has to be some level of communication where you're like, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is what I got going on. How are you doing? And like some check-ins, like daily, weekly, if not daily, right? Because it's a lot. Andrea's brother, he coaches at North Texas, and he's been in the game for, shoot, man. It's funny. Him and I started back in 2004 when he was a senior, and he's been almost in football ever since, right? So he played at KU, he coached at KU, he's been to Ohio State, he's been to James Madison, he's been to Texas State, he's been to North Texas, he's been to Rice, he's been to Houston, he's been everywhere, right? And he's been married for 10 years now, and in 10 years they probably moved 7 times. He's gotten fired. He's gotten, and that's just, and they just have check-ins, and, his wife will tell you, she'll be like, yeah, we don't unpack all the boxes, because we got to figure, that first 12 months, you're going to figure out if, hey, if I'm going to be here, is there a new AD? Is there a new chancellor or a new president of the school? Because the president of the school may want to change the AD, and the AD may want to change the head coach. So, like back to your question, though, I think it just takes a lot of communication, and then just like it's like that devotion, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna support you through this and get you through this.
That's a lot of doggone. We haven't even moved that much.
Hey, I'm telling you, and that's not even counting. That's not even counting like when he was at KU. I mean, he was at KU. He GA'd for I think 2 or 3 years, right? Yeah. So he was there. Yeah, it's just a different beast. It's different. Like guys are moving and then I just got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not moving around. And yeah. So
our mutual friend, that's how I learned about that. Cause she was telling me, that she was waiting to find out where her husband was going. Mm-hmm. I guess because of that situation, I guess because she was saying like the head coach had got fired. So they was waiting to find out where her husband was gonna go.
Right.
But dang, that's a lot of doggone moves.
Yeah. Well, because at least, and then to bring it all back around, like the military, it's like, hey, you could get orders, but you're gonna get 30 days, right? Or
for the most part.
For the most part. And usually when you're going somewhere and about the time you're about to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But it's like for them, it's just different. It's just different. So yeah, I mean, I didn't make any huge moves. I coached at Bethel, I coached at Butler, and it kind of just happened to be all in the same general area for me. I had talked to some other coaches. You go to these. Okay, so here's some other insight in coaching. So there's these coaching conventions, right? They happen in January. Basically, this is where everybody who ever thought that they could coach football shows up and tries to network and meet coaches and chop it up and hopefully get an interview or like this guy or like that guy. But that's a big piece of it too. So it's just a lot going on, and it's tough to break in, and it's tough to be in that in crowd.
You're networking always.
Yeah.
Man. Networking always is a thing. So you said something. See, now I was trying to stick with the conversation. See,
You're good. You're good. You're good.
I think the fact of typically in the military we have two primary moving seasons. And so if you PCS outside of that, then yes, that's different. But so as you were saying with the coaching, then it can happen. Firing can happen at any time. Hiring can happen at any time.
Right.
Is that based around the season of that sport, or is it like just anywhere throughout 365?
It just depends, right? Because like, hey, I work in HR now, so people can get fired at any time, right? So if you're a linebacker coach and you do something silly, coach can't cover you. You've already been talked to about this before, maybe. It's just like any other job. So it's like, hey, I don't want to give any bad examples, but let's say, hey, you're coming down on the kids too hard, man. You're cussing at the kids. We can't have that. We can't be disrespectful. We want to coach them hard, but so we're going to part ways. And it's week 4. You're halfway through the season. Or it could be, hey, coach has got a guy that he likes him, thinks he's a great recruiter, maybe thinks he's not a great coach, lets him run through the recruiting cycle, lets him go in the summer, right? Or it's the end of the season. Season didn't go well. We want to make some changes. So, I mean, it can really come from any direction.
But they still going to pay for it, right?
Yeah, most cases they have contracts and stuff. So you're locked in, you're locked in. So
we got this question. Since it's a sacrifice on both ends, in what ways can the husband and coach support their wife? I think we want having the wife support through the coaching experience. That's what I think.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's a good question. I mean, I think again, I think it just goes back to communication on both ends and just, hey, how you doing? How you feeling? Because that coach is going through a lot too, right? Because you're going through the ebb and flows of the season.
Yeah.
Right. So you may start 3-0, and then you lose 3 in a row. Well, hell, you're 3-3. Hey, the AD came down and talked to the head coach. Well, if the AD's talking to the head coach, like, hey, coach, what did he say? Where are we at? So those check-ins. And then I think, again, on the other side of that, the wife is dealing with all the other things outside of that. I mean, it just makes it tough, dealing with the family piece of it, which to me is far more important than the football piece. So yeah, definitely daily check-ins and making sure that, coaches are making time, for their families and stuff too. So.
Yeah. On that one, on that episode, they talked about how Coach Martin, whatever, how he's kind of blessed a little bit to have his family living on campus with him, whereas the other coaches don't. And so do you think that it's best to have your family with you, or is it best to do all this traveling and stuff alone until you know that you're secure in that job?
I think it depends. I mean, I feel like a head coach, just from some of the head coaches I know, let's say they hire you in, June, or let's say they hire you in January, and they're like, hey, when you're bringing the wife and kids out, if you don't bring the wife and kids out, they're going to be like, is this guy, he might still be looking, he might still be, looking to go other places or looking to move on. So I think the best thing to do is, well, one, from a family standpoint, is always to bring your family. So as soon as you can, right? I mean, there may be times where you're like, hey, I'm going to go out a month early. I'm going to be doing this. I'm going to be doing that. I'll let you get things settled. Then I'll come back in 2 weeks. Then we'll get things ready. And then I'll go back for 2 weeks and then come back and then we'll move, right? That's probably the best way to do it. I just think that, that's a difficult one. I mean, you certainly don't want your head coach or your boss thinking, hey, you're not completely committed to whatever it is you're trying to do, especially just right after you got a job.
Right. So I know, because for some of the military jobs, that especially that require you to move, or you could possibly move at any moment. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it is best that sometimes the sacrifice is that the family stay behind.
Right.
And I mean, we've gone through that. This is this is our second time of being
Yeah.
separated like this.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, like, is it worth it sometimes? I mean,
Yeah.
does it make the job easier because you
Yeah.
know that the family is taken care of?
Right.
But when we talk about this daily check-in,
Mm-hmm.
like, how it's not as easy. I don't.
Yeah. Well, I think technology maybe makes it a little bit easier, but at the same time, it's, um, yeah. I mean, it still doesn't. I mean, I can imagine, like, me and my wife. My wife has a very demanding job. I have a somewhat demanding job, and it's still hard for us to, like, find time outside of the kids to make sure you're talking about stuff and checking
Yeah.
in. You're always going to ask, "Hey, how's your day? How was your day? Anything happened today? Anything crazy?" But no, I couldn't imagine if you were doing it from thousands and thousands of miles away. I think that would make it difficult, different time zones, all that. So
Yeah. And then lastly, I guess, as you said, with it appearing that the coach isn't committed because he didn't bring the family, or he or she didn't bring their family.
mm-hmm.
Um, I think just as even with military families, I think perhaps that's also why, like, our mutual friend, why
Mm-hmm.
they do homeschooling. Do you think
Right.
that the best answer?
I don't know. I guess I think it would depend on where the child is developmentally, right? If you're 0 to 6 or 6 to 9, maybe homeschooling might be a good idea. I don't know. I think once, especially younger, like once kids hit like 9 to 12, then you're starting to. There's this social aspect of school that's probably integrated in there a little bit. I think you get away with it for a little bit, but yeah, I just don't know. I don't know about. That's a good question. I feel like I would, if I was on the move, like if I was coaching now and my son was, he's 3 now. I mean, I think we would probably just homeschool him. Just because you don't want them bouncing in and out of different schools and stuff at a young age, and you try to build that consistency. But I think once it got to be like 10, 12, yeah, I think that would probably be a better time to say we probably need to be looking at schools, and we probably need looking at jobs we're going to be there for a while. So
Right.
yeah.
I feel like when they're younger, though, like, my opinion, when they're younger, like, school doesn't really matter. I feel like that's when they're easily adaptable when they're younger.
Yeah.
Once they hit like middle school, that, even though, like, I don't want to homeschool at all, but I think that would be when it's harder to start. But
Right.
that is when, like, homeschooling or some type of online program would be more beneficial.
Right.
For that steady
That's true.
state.
I could see that.
But I mean, I can see both ways, but I mean, that's just for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as I told you, I don't really stay long. I mean, I could talk to you forever. I can keep going, but
this is good.
Trying to stick to the wives. There's no other questions here in the chat for me to put up here to share. I guess the only other question. So your wife is working.
Yes.
But was it hard for her to continue working as you moved?
So I think I've seen that situation. We went through that, and there was never really a situation where I was moving and she had planned to go with me, but I've seen some other coaches do that, and yeah, it is. I mean, you'll hear the jokes, and the coaches will be like, "Hey, you better marry a nurse or marry a teacher," because you gotta find a job. They gotta find a job, and they gotta work. I think, I'll lean on Andrew's brother, Adrian. He's at North Texas right now, but he, she's been in school and she's teaching, right? So she's a professor. So she's an adjunct professor. So it kind of works out when he goes to school. She just teaches at that school or teaches online. I know she was in social work and things like that, but yeah, you got to find one of those jobs that kind of can go anywhere. And hey, with COVID up, man, everybody's virtual anyway. So it's good. You're good.
Yeah, but some of those is still difficult because your license changes depending on the state. Now, luckily, I'm not sure if it went all the way through, but I know like the Obamas, Michelle Obama was trying to make sure that it was easier for military spouses to keep their jobs as they moved. So, yeah, I wonder. Yeah. That might be something that women can come together and say we need some type of spousal act, the spousal law that applies to everyone.
Yeah, because you'll have people that are probably pretty qualified. But I guess if you've got a pretty good career, if you've got a decent education and a pretty good career, I don't imagine that it's that difficult. But hey, I mean, you never know. Some of these Army bases are in some weird places. So.
Yes. It's crazy places. And still, even, I mean, like I don't have a practicing license yet, but just like you said, your sister-in-law, she was doing social work. Every state has a different license and they won't necessarily let you practice in their state.
Right.
I mean, even one of those.
Yep.
It's
hey, we got to do this again. You got to get the whole unit in here. We'll all come in here. We can talk Last Chance U now.
Dang. I am here for it. I just can't talk, stats and this sport versus that one. But
come on, you've been listening to our show. We don't talk.
Yeah, we're gonna put that together. We're gonna put that together because I still have notes that I want to talk about Last Chance U and All-American, because there's some stuff in there that's just football related, sports, Black community, just all of it. But because there's sports shows,
right?
I want to have sports person.
Yeah,
so, we're gonna schedule that.
Yeah, you let me know when, and we'll make it happen. We'll make it work.
Yeah, it won't be 2 days. I tell you that. All right. Let me type it up. Your website, or maybe you can type it in. I just put it in here. www.rollcall. What is it?
So it's. I'm glad you brought that up. So we don't actually have a website.
Okay,
the best thing your followers can do is go to Instagram and type in Roll Call Sports Podcast, and I'll type in Sports Podcast, and they can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. We are Roll Call Sports with a Z, as in zebra. And then maybe that's private chat. Oh, I'm not on the comments. Okay, I see the comments now. This is cool. I've never used this before. This is really cool.
One of my former Air Force buddies.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Now you typed it in there, but for whatever reason, maybe it's because I'm not logged in. I can't type anything in there. But
in the live stream.
Yeah.
On Twitter, you said what?
Roll Call Sports with a Z. And then on Facebook, we're Roll Call Sports Podcast. Isn't that right, buddy?
I'm tripping because I didn't even hit show.
There you go. And then, check it out. We've got a lot of cool stuff going on right now on our podcast. We've got a fundraiser going on right now. We're closing in on 1,000 followers on Instagram. We've got 500 followers on Twitter and about 500 followers on Facebook. So we got about 2,000 followers right now. We had 1,000 listens for the month of July. So things are going really good. So
big ups.
Yeah. So check us out. If you go to Instagram, you can click the link in our bio and it'll take you directly to either Apple Podcast, Spotify, all that stuff, and you can listen to the show. But I know you listen to the show, but our style is more, we're just like, four cousins talking crazy about sports, man. We're not if you're looking for stats and stuff like that, you might want to go to a different show, but our show is a little bit more raw, a little uncut. But hey, we've been touching on COVID and we've been talking about some of the racial issues and stuff like that, the protests and stuff that are going on. So yeah, we try to sprinkle in some pop culture and some topics that are going on, and we'll sprinkle in some politics and touch on it a little bit, but it's always based out of sports usually.
Yeah, and I got some shows from y'all. Not right now. Yeah, for sure. And I'm gonna give me it was a hat. Let me get a hat or something.
Yeah,
that in my background too.
Yeah, put that up. Yeah, go ahead, get that. So our launch is Monday. We launch Monday. You can order, and then you got 30 days to order. And once we get all the orders in, we'll get them all shipped out. So
for sure.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you for having me on.
You said about a hat.
I appreciate you for having me on. I thank you so much.
Okay, come say hi so we can say goodbye.
What's up? How you doing?
All right. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for joining me.
Absolutely.
And to the viewers out there, if no one's told you today, this is my new ending. So if no one's told you today, I love you. You are special and you are meant to be here today. Please take care of yourself. This is Real Ram out.
Amen to that. Peace.